All right, Prop the Mic, PTM, presented by Props.cash. What up? Coming to you from sunny Los Angeles, I think sunny New York, off a great night of WNBA betting here for our Thursday Night Football pod for what should be a good game between division rivals Green Bay Packers and Detroit Lions. What's going on, Dave?
Yes, it is finally decent in New York. It's been raining for like 5 straight days, I think. So, so I actually stepped outside today, which was nice.
Nice. That's what I heard. I had to call out the sunniness in New York.
And yesterday was, like you said, a great day in the WNBA. We put out 3 picks publicly and cashed on those. We also had a few personal plays as well to cash. So I'm not going to hold those back anymore. Just going to put them all out there and let people make a lot of money off of our picks.
Here we go.
All right.
Sounds good.
But yeah, this is fun. This is a good time of the year. We're just like ping-ponging back and forth between basketball and football. Football. WNBA is going to wrap up in the next couple weeks, but then we're going to move right into NBA.
Big NBA news today. We have to. We'd be remiss if we didn't call out the big Dame Lillard trade. So exciting NBA news. We'll have to dig into that, analyze that a little bit as we start to put together our models and revamp the models for the upcoming season for our analysis on NBA. So looking forward to that quite a bit. But we're here for Thursday Night Football tonight.
Yeah, if you just heard that Dame news first on this show, then you got to work on your social media presence, I think.
This is true.
Yes, so let's get into football. Thursday Night Football. We're going to tread lightly here. Thursday night is just always a disaster. But with that said, it's the only game going on, so we gotta put out some picks.
And a good game. I love this game.
Yeah, it's a nice game. We got the Lions at the Packers, like you said. Both teams are 2-1. Packers are getting about a point, maybe a point and a half at home, and the line is somewhere between 45.5 to 46, depending on where you get it. Now, I will briefly mention these two teams. So the Lions, we know, beat the Chiefs week 1, lost to the Seahawks week 2, and beat the Falcons week 3. The Packers beat the Bears week 1. Lost to the Falcons week 2 and beat the Saints week 3. So the only kind of overlap in the schedule is really the game against the Falcons. So I think that's why the Packers are probably getting the edge, but the Packers may have a lot of people returning, right? The Packers have been playing with half a team, Aaron Jones out, Watson out. So
their two best offensive linemen. So I think part of the reason they kept those guys didn't play on Sunday is probably to on the short week have them nice and fresh for this Thursday night game, and then they'll be able to get 10 days rest after that. So I think just looking at in the grand scheme of things, I think that's probably how they decided to do it. And luckily they got the win on Sunday, so it paid off for them. So I think that's what we're looking at.
And then on the Lions side, you got David Montgomery, who started off the season really well, ended up with a thigh injury. Was supposed to be out for a couple weeks. Was out week 3, but it looks like he might be back as well. So might have a little something on him later.
All right.
So yeah, with all that said, the lines are not all available. We're recording this on Wednesday because of all this injury uncertainty. We'll cover kind of what's available, and obviously, probably even more importantly, we'll tell you matchup wise where the spots are to target. And then as we monitor the market, we'll put out some more stuff tomorrow.
Yes.
Sound like a plan?
That sounds like a great plan.
All right. So why don't you kick it off? Tell us what you're liking from a matchup standpoint between these two teams.
All right, let's start. Always like to start in the trenches, looking at win rates on the line here. Looking at all of the matchups, the one that really stands out is the target overs in the Green Bay passing game, based on a poor Detroit pass rush and a pretty good Green Bay pass block win rate. So then let's dig in. Once we have that starting point, now let's look at the quarterback play against Detroit. Let's look at the wide receiver and tight end play against Detroit and see if we can really narrow in on some nice plays here. So a lot of nice stuff sticks out in terms of looking at how Detroit has performed against opposing quarterbacks. They've allowed an 88 quarterback rating, which is league average. Okay, so I don't dig a whole lot into that rating anyway, but that's also a nice jumping off point to kind of rank defenses and then go from there. Here's where it starts to get a little bit better. Detroit's tied for the second longest average pocket time at 2.6 seconds. So I like that. Jordan Love's going to have some time to pass, and that correlates with our nice Green Bay offensive line play that I started off with here. Detroit has allowed the 6th most attempts to opposing quarterbacks. So another we should see lots of throws from Jordan Love, and they've also given up lots of explosive plays. They're sixth in passes of 10 plus yards, 33 of them on this young season. They're ninth in passes of 20 plus yards, and they're also ninth in red zone pass attempts.
Wow.
So let's dig into, before I get into the wide receiver stats, let me give out a quarterback play here. What do you say?
Yeah, let me pull up the screen so we can take a look along with you on props.cash.
All right, pull up Mr. Jordan Love there.
All right, so you want to look at Jordan Love?
Yeah.
All right, passing yards?
Let's start out with touchdowns, because I posted this one last week. I was super high on it last week. He got close, but like we said, didn't have his main offensive weapon in Aaron Jones. Also maybe has Christian Watson back this week in a game that shapes up, I think, is even better matchup against Detroit. So you got to go back to, I think you mentioned this with a WNBA post recently. Sometimes you don't want to be caught chasing your tail. We love this play. Look at those first two games, 3 passing touchdowns in both of those games. I think he gets 2 in this one. It's still plus money. It's not the plus 140 we had last weekend, but plus 116 on FanDuel. I think we can go back to this with confidence here.
Yeah, I like that. And to your point, it's like there's nothing worse than being right on a play and you have bad luck and it doesn't hit, and then the next week it just crushes the over. So if the logic makes sense, the matchups make sense, keep playing it, right?
Yep.
And I think this is a good case, right? I think he's got a great matchup, and I think he's going to excel, especially at home. So yeah. I love that.
All right, pull up his completions now. So we can get over 19.5 completions on DK, minus 110, right? Or did it go up?
Minus 130 now.
Oh, okay. So he's got money coming in. So everyone move fast on that one. He had 22 completions against New Orleans, but if you look, he only had 14 and 15 against Chicago. But if you go and look at the attempts allowed, you're not going to, I don't think you'll see this on props.cash. This is from our model here. New Orleans was 9th in pass attempts allowed to quarterbacks. Detroit is 6th, like I mentioned earlier. The first two opponents, Atlanta and Chicago, are at the bottom. Atlanta's 21st and Chicago's 23rd in attempts allowed. So it makes sense that he'd be under in those two games and over. And now he's got a very good comp to the team he just played. So I think at 19.5, this is a beautiful play here.
Yeah. What did the so we got Ritter last week against Detroit had 21. Geno Smith had 32.
Yeah.
And Mahomes, even in that terrible game, had 21. So so all 3 have cleared against Detroit. That's pretty nice. I love that, especially at 19.5.
Yeah. Yeah, the 19.5 that just seems like a nice low number for him, especially getting most likely getting Watson back. Jones is a great pass catching running back. You'll get a few receptions from that as well with him back. So I like that. And then I also, if you want to just toggle over to his passing yards there, I have it at 227.5 on FanDuel, minus 114. The first, like you see, the first 2 games he went over, the first game and the second and the third game. And I think, it also correlates to what I just said about the number of pass attempts he's going to get in this game, very comparable to what he had in the game against New Orleans this past Sunday. So I think all 3 are really nice plays on Jordan Love. He had a great finish to the game against New Orleans. It was a slow start. And I think getting some of his offensive weapons back, I think these are all looking like really solid plays.
Yeah. If you had to choose between the pass completions, I believe it was 19.5, and the yards at 227.5, which one do you lean more on?
Completions. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very low number.
Just because, and I think just a big reason probably why is just these weird Thursday night games. And this is like a bitter division rivalry game. I think, they tend to be low scoring. Though I don't know if that's going to be the case of this one. But I think completions is I prefer that one a bit.
Yeah, and if you look at the receiving yards or passing yards for the 3 quarterbacks, the only one who crossed this line was Geno Smith. So whereas the completions was I think 3 for 3. So so I like that. I think that's a good play. All right, maybe we'll just make this the Jordan Love show, because I also like his rushing yards.
I saw
16.5. I think at FanDuel, let's see. Look at that, the lines are moving. It was 15.5 this morning, so kind of shows you where the money's going. But 16.5 is pretty nice. What did I have here? Week 1, he had 12 yards. Week 2, 24 yards. Week 3, 43 yards. If you look, the 2 quarterbacks who I would consider semi-running quarterbacks, Mahomes had 45 rushing yards and Geno had 20 rushing yards. against this team.
I think they're both good comps for Love. Yeah,
I
like
think
that.
so. I think they're
Yeah.
quarterbacks who are not run first quarterbacks, but
Mhm.
when they need to scramble, they can pick up first downs.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably Jordan Love's game as well.
Yep. Mhm.
But look at his rushing attempts last week to get those 43
Yeah, I
yards. He
saw
had
that.
9 rushing attempts. So, so I would even, I don't know what that line will come out, but I'm going to keep an eye on that rushing attempts line. But in the meantime, I love his rushing yards. I also like his longest rush at 10.5. I think they're both good plays.
Look at that.
Good.
Big-
All right. I
yeah.
think we're done talking about Jordan Love.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
And that was fun though. All right, talk about Goff on the Detroit side. You got anything on him?
I do. So this there's nothing much in like the trenches matchups that was sticking out, but if you dig deeper into some of the advanced stats, there's a couple that I think put us on a nice two nice plays that I like on Goff here. So Green Bay allows the 4th fewest attempts to quarterbacks. So you're on the opposite end of the spectrum of compared to Detroit, who allowed the 6th most attempts at only 25.8 attempts over the first 3 games of the season. So that's looking at the quarterback side. Now looking at the wide receiver side, Green Bay allows the fewest yards per reception to wide receivers this season at 8.5. They allow the 7th fewest yards before catch to wide receivers, and they allow the 5th fewest yards after catch to wide receivers. Why is this so so important here? Those two stats should have an inverse relationship, right? Your yards before, if your yards before catch is high, your yards after catch should be lower because you have the secondary there ready to tackle you, and vice versa, right? So the fact that both are low means that this Green Bay secondary is doing a phenomenal job of limiting explosive plays and just accumulating yardage in general to quarterbacks and the wide receivers that they're throwing to. So I like a under on Jared Goff's passing yards. I have it at 255.5 minus 115 on DK. He's only gone over this in 5 of his last 15 games, 8 of his last 20 games, and if you look at his splits against Green Bay last season,
Yeah.
there you go, 224 and 137. I also think the floodgates on his interceptions have opened up after he almost set the record. He had 2 INTs in the last 2 games, so I think he's probably good for another one here. I think they kind of come in bunches like that. He broke the seal on interceptions, so I think this is not shaping up to be a great game for Goff here. Were you on Goff in the same direction, or?
I didn't really. I kind of, if you look at his performance against Green Bay, like you said, and even his recency, he's a bit of a coin flip, but he does have a good track record on Thursday Night Football. I saw that. Right.
Okay.
But again, you were saying 255, I think you said. Looks like the line is, it's come down to 252.5 on DraftKings. So,
oh wow,
yeah. So, it's good. It's good to do this early because you can get some real value, right?
you really
Goff
can.
like hovers that 240 to 255 mark.
Yeah.
Most games. So I think every yard is going to count here. But yeah, if I had to play one way or the other, I'd probably lean under, but not a particularly strong play for me on this one.
Yeah,
but
this is really playing the matchup. Yeah,
I do love putting out unders for Thursday Night Football,
Yes.
so we can at least benefit from a crap game.
Yes. If you want to click over to his completions, I think it's also a great play at under 2. At least this morning when I bet it here, under 23.5 pass completions, minus 125 it was.
Yep.
Look at his recent success: last 1 of 5, last 4 of 10, last 7 of 20. And if you look at his splits against Green Bay, 23 and 15 the last 2 times. I think you're on. You have to.
Yeah, I got it.
You're on Thursday night.
Thursday. Yeah, first Green Bay, and then last 10. Yeah, that might be the way to go.
Yeah,
I think I might like that better than the yards. Okay, nice.
Yeah,
very good. All right, where do you want to move? You want to move back to the wide receivers?
Let's go to wide receivers. Let's stay on the Detroit side, just so I don't have to reiterate all these points again, because most of this underplay on Goff is because of the success of Green Bay against the wide receivers, and combined with the 4th fewest attempts by opposing quarterbacks. This is a little bit scary. There you go, right there. Under 73.5 receiving yards, minus 115 for St. Brown. Is that where are we at now? That line move? Or are we still?
If you have PointsBet, you can get it as high as 75.5, and then DraftKings and BetMGM and Caesars and FanDuel, they're all 72.5. So
it came down 1 yard on DK here. It was 73.5 minus 115. Look at his last 2 games against Green Bay.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, 63 and 55. And what's even better, he had 9 targets in both of those games. When he's getting 9 targets, usually he's crushing this number. But against Green Bay, with that secondary, it's not happening. So I think this goes well with the Goff under. It's scary, though. He was on our season-long over, doing quite well in that department. So, I don't love this just from a personal standpoint.
Yeah.
But I think this is the game. I think this is a great spot to fade him here.
I do have to say his consistency is incredible, though, in terms of receptions. He's a six plus receptions every game. So
Yeah.
I do like, maybe not in this matchup, but as a leg for a parlay going forward, I do like putting him at 6 receptions and anything else, because I think he seems to get 6 catches at almost every game. So
yeah,
and he might here too. He might get six catches for 50 yards, right? So
yep.
Okay, cool. Anybody else on? Could we just talk about Sam Laporta real quick? I don't know if you have anything on him, but
I don't. But
I have a post. I have a post written up, ready to send from week 3 on this guy. I was so excited about him, and then I got scared away by reading all the historicals on rookie tight ends. But this guy's been a beast.
Yeah.
I think I was going to play his 4.5 receptions or 3.5 receptions. I think it was. He had 8 receptions last week. He's had 5 the 2 weeks before. Receiving yards through the roof. You're telling me to lay off this guy this week, though?
No, I don't think so. I think with what he's done, I mean, he's become such a focal point of this offense that what's his receptions at?
Receptions are 4.5, and you get plus money. Seems
I don't want you to feel
good.
too bad about not posting that one last week. Everyone was on that play, so nobody, everyone ate on that play. Don't worry about that. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to can Jared Goff go under 250 whatever yards and him and Laporta still get 5 receptions? I think so.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit on Laporta 4.5 receptions just because you're getting it at plus money, and but I do think the Packers are going to put some more attention on this guy this week. Okay. Let's go to the wide receivers for Green Bay. Is that good?
Yep. That's good. Let's do it.
All right. What do you like there?
So a couple stats to point out in terms of wide receivers. Detroit has allowed the 4th most red zone targets to wide receivers. So I think it's a good spot to look for maybe some anytime touchdowns, long shots on some Green Bay wide receivers possibly. They're also 8th in yards before catch, which is a nice stat. So let's just real quick. I think Christian Watson's supposed to come back here. I kind of like him returning for an anytime touchdown. I think it's a nice plus 230 on FanDuel. When he played 40 plus snaps last season, he had a touchdown in 4 of 6 games. And I like he averaged 8.2 yards before catch last season, which is like in the top third of all receivers. And that's one area where Detroit has not been good. So I think this is I don't want to spend too much time on it because there's a chance he doesn't even play, but I think this is nice.
Yeah, I like that. I also was looking. Who did I like?
Dobbs?
Jaden Reed.
Okay.
So he should still get some reps even with Watson back. Let's see where he is. But I wanted to highlight. So he had two touchdowns week 2.
Mm-hmm.
I want to just highlight a new feature on props.cash. So if you look, field length filter up here in the top, you can highlight to red zone. So that basically is showing his performance within the red zone. So both of those touchdowns came in the red zone. And then if you look, what I liked about him, if we go to his receptions, his targets in the red zone were pretty good. He had 3 week 2 and 4 week 3. So I'm not going to dig into all the other receivers, but if you do look at all the other receivers, including even the tight end, Musgrave, he was by far the most targeted receiver in the red zone. So I think using this new filter, it's a good opportunity to find anytime touchdown play, and he is he's a good play for an anytime touchdown at plus 400. I thought
that's super sneaky. I love that. Just with the amount of red zone targets Detroit gives up at plus 400, that's very nice. I like that, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, who else? Anybody else?
Go to Romeo Doubs for a sec. All right,
okay.
So I like his receptions, over 3.5 receptions, plus 116 on FanDuel. You look at his first 3 games, just last Sunday, he had 5 receptions on 12 targets in the game against New Orleans.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then two of 3 against Atlanta and 4 of 5 against Chicago. And what I liked really quite a bit on him, on Dobbs, is his snap share has been increasing significantly each week. Week 1, 48% of the snaps he was out there. Week 2, 76%. Week 3, 86%. So this guy is becoming a much bigger part of the Green Bay offense. So I think even with Watson coming back, I think this is a nice spot for him. Four receptions at plus money. Come on.
Yeah, I like that. And look at the value difference too. DraftKings has it at plus 114, BetMGM plus 130, Caesars has it at as low as minus 106. So
Wow.
lock that in at one of those other books if you have it.
Yeah.
All right, cool. What about I just mentioned this guy, Luke Musgrave. You got anything on him?
Oh yeah. Do you?
Yeah, I do. But go ahead, do your thing.
Okay, so this just jumping out. So when you look at tight end performance against Detroit, they're just crushing. 5th in yards per reception, 1st in receptions of 10 plus yards, 1st in receptions of 20 plus yards, and 3rd in average long reception. I mean, you can't get a better guy to target an explosive play against than Musgrave. So I have a feeling I know which one you're on. So I'm going to take 2 other ones here because I have 3 plays that I really like on Musgrave. I think his over receiving yards, 36.5, minus 125 on DK is very nice. He's cleared it by quite a bit in 2 of 3 games, as you can see right there.
Yeah, you can get it. You can get it for 35.5 on DraftKings. FanDuel has it at 38.5, and PointsBet has it at 40.5. So really good value. Yeah, really good value at DraftKings.
Yeah, and then I think his receptions also. I have it at 3.5 plus 110 on DK. You go to the first 3 games of the season, 6 for 8, 2 for 3, and 3 for 4. Receptions versus targets there. I think this is also a nice spot. Just looking at how tight ends have performed against Detroit. What did you have on Mr. Musgrave?
Yeah, I think. Well, you obviously were alluding to the fact that I would like his longest reception at 17.5. No, I think because I think tight ends are not always long down the field targets, even though this matchup does allow for that. Mm-hmm. I think I like the receiving yards the best, especially if you can get it at 35.5. So I'm with you on that one.
All right, so then let me just touch on his longest reception here real quick. It's 17.5, minus 102 on FanDuel. You look, he had 12, 17, so just got hooked in that middle game, that second game, and then 37 in the first game. So I think just given the amount of big explosive plays they're giving up to tight ends, the average long super high, and I should note his snap percentage also trending up. Started out the season at 75%. 88% in the second game and 86% in the third game. So a nice upward trend on Musgrave there, becoming a bigger part of the offense. So in this divisional game against Detroit, I think those are all nice spots for him.
Yeah, the only other thing I'll add is just the 3 receivers that went up against Detroit previously. Kyle Pitts, who we know is just super inconsistent and disappointing. He still had 41 yards. Noah Fant, 56 yards, and Noah Gray on the Chiefs when Kelsey was out, had 31 yards. So
dude, you just sold me even more on that.
Yeah, I just think this is just probably my favorite play. I'm going to lock this one in because I could see this line at the other books kind of getting pulled up to PointsBet being over 40.5 before kickoff. So I love that.
All right,
cool. What else do you got?
I think that was everything I have in this game.
Okay.
What about you?
Yeah, I have just one other play. I know you were not a huge fan of this, but I don't care.
Let's hear.
Let's look at the anytime touchdowns. I like David Montgomery for a touchdown. Again, I think it's a great play at plus 145. I think it was plus 150 earlier, so it's coming down a little bit. But he's had a touchdown in the 2 games that he's played, and he seems to be the red zone guy. So again, let's use the props.cash red zone filter. If you look in the red zone and we go to rushing yards, his rushing attempts. So he had 4 rushing attempts in the red zone week 1, 3 rushing attempts in the red zone week 2. If I go to, let's go back to anytime touchdown, and I go to Gibbs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I look at Gibbs's rushing yards, same deal. In the red zone, Gibbs had 1 week 1, 0 week 2, and 4 week 3 when Montgomery didn't play. So basically, Gibbs took all the red zone touches in the week where Montgomery was out. But when Montgomery's there, he's basically not coming in once they're in the red zone. So I think if Montgomery plays, he's getting the red zone touches. He's getting in the end zone. If he doesn't play, you have a bet that basically gets washed out and you get your money back. So I think it's a good play.
My only hesitation was just that, him missing last week, and them thinking originally that it was going to be a longer injury than just 1 week being out, right? So that was my hesitation there. But if he's gonna suit up and he's gonna play, that means he should be healthy enough to play and then get his normal share. So yeah, I think there's some nice value here.
Very nice. All right, who are you picking in this game? Lions
Green
or
Bay.
Packers?
Green Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a little. If you look at the quality of wins, it feels like the Lions have done better this year, but it's hard not to back the Packers at home. So let's go with the Packers.
Yeah, you got Packers at home. And the Detroit defense is not good. The Packers have a much better defense. So yeah, I like that quite a bit. All right. So we'll definitely, there's quite a few that we both love here. So there's including Jordan Love. So we'll get these put up onto X, and let's all make some money tonight.